Welcome to the Art of Lifting podcast. Today I am joined by Joe Borenstein. Now, Joe, you have been on here before. I did also realize earlier today, I think you're, apart from preview shows, you are my first repeat guest. So if anyone isn't sure who you are, which I'm sure they are, they can go back and listen to the previous episode where we dived into kind of what your training looked like, how you got into the sport, and just kind of everything up to present day. And then I thought in this episode, we'll start off by talking about your recent performance at Nationals. Want to try and keep it in time order. So before we go into what you actually did on the day, which I'm sure everyone knows what you managed to hit on the day, I wanted to ask you, because on the last episode, you mentioned that obviously when you got into the sport, like Russ, for example, was one of the really big guys you were looking up to. Obviously, Taylor was kind of hitting his like first peak. And, you know, there was a lot of guys in this weight class that you just competed in that you looked up to when you got into the sport. I wanted to ask what it felt like showing up to weigh-ins and being surrounded by all of these huge names, because that was probably the most stacked class at Nationals ever.
Yeah. So it definitely felt a little, not going to say I was like starstruck, because I don't think it's like we have true stars in powerlifting, but we're at the point where kids nowadays, juniors nowadays, are growing up and actually having role models within the sport. Like, 'cause I know back then Russ and Taylor, when they were coming up in the sport, they couldn't look back on people. I mean, you had like Ed Cohen or something, but you know what I mean? Like you didn't really have these big names within the sport to just look back on. And I think I was like that first generation to actually be able to grow up and I guess admire these people and the work they put on the platform, right? So I'd say I was a little in awe of meeting them for the first time in person. Like, I've seen Taylor from afar competing, but I've never actually shook his hand, got up to him, had a chat with him. So that was really nice to do. And then same thing with Russ. Russ was there as well. He hopped in the commentary, which was great. But having the opportunity to see them in person after years of watching them online it was just amazing. So definitely blessed to be in that position, and then obviously to be able to compete against one of them, which in my opinion was the GOAT, or is the GOAT, in Taylor Atwood, and then being able to see the 83 kilo GOAT in Russ, having them both there, that I couldn't ask for like a better day or a competition that could even, I think, rival the significance of that day. And so I think I'm just blessed, and I was, like I said, I'm almost starstruck, but I don't want to use that word. I think it's a little too severe, right? So
no, I get what you mean there. And how did you feel when you saw Marcellus's post of you in, like, was it 5th grade, and then Taylor winning his first national title all in the same year?
Yeah, that was hilarious. He actually DM'd me. He's asking me, like, do you have a picture of you in 5th grade? And I was like, sure, I guess. So I searched deep in the camera roll. I only had one picture, and it was from like a Facebook post that my friend posted, or like my friend's dad posted when I was in 5th grade. It was very strange. So I cropped it out. I just had my picture in there, so I don't expose my friend with me. And then I gave it to him, and I don't know what he was using it for, but he's like, I have an idea. And I was like, all right, Ben, I'll go along with it. I'll see what you have in store. And then I saw the edit. It was fucking hilarious. But it's funny because Taylor and I grew up in the same county within South Florida. Like, it's a very small county. Well, that's not small. It's one of the biggest counties in Florida. But out of all the 50 states in the U.S., out of all the counties, it's like we grew up in the same exact area within, like, I think 10 miles within each other. And he's just from the generation before. So it's all these little similarities. And then, for example, like, the meet I was 17 at, I told 640 kilo to break a national record at 74. That was the same meet Taylor did his 800 kilo. So we have all these little similarities from back in the day, which is funny to see. So that post was hilarious though. Yeah.
No, I love that post. And it's true what you say as well. Like, this is almost like the first cycle with classic powerlifting, at least, like, of having those people to look up to. Like, you were so young when Taylor was like first kind of hitting his stride in powerlifting, and to now be however many years on, obviously, like, we've not had that yet. Like, those guys wouldn't have had anyone like that, like you say, apart from maybe like the untested, the equipped guys, but there wouldn't have been that same thing, that same feeling there. And yeah, obviously powerlifting is not maybe big enough to have stars. Like, I'm sure you've spoken to a lot of these people before, like, they all know who you are. It's not like they're these major celebrities who have no idea who you are coming in, but it's just that full circle moment, isn't it? I wanted to ask you about making weight. So I think on the King of the Lifts, like almost like live podcast you guys did, you monitor everything.
Yeah,
like
I have to.
everything to like the most minute detail, which is a great thing. And I just wanted to ask you how you found making weight. Like, I can't remember what you specifically said, but I remember listening to it and being like, you are so detail oriented, which I think probably is part of why you can maybe have the confidence that you do and stuff with your lifts. But I wanted to ask you about the process of making weight. Like you said before, you used to do like horrible cuts for the 74s. So what was it, 70? What was the weight class 75s for the USAPL? Like you did horrible weight cuts. Yeah.
But I cut meat, so I cut when I was a 74 and a 75.
Yeah.
I can go into the answer now, but so I always think, obviously, or I think the majority of powerlifting coaches believe that a bigger body, if you have more muscle mass packed on, you're going to be stronger with or without the cut, right? So, for example, sitting at 83 versus sitting at 85 with more tissue, you'll be probably better off at 85 with more tissue because you can accumulate more total volume and intensities, better recovery during training. So you can just elicit like more progress at that heavier body weight. So I'm not saying that I couldn't maintain 83. Like I was 83 kilo for I think like 3 blocks in a row leading up to Nats, all the way to my final block. And then the final block, I was like, you know what? Me and my coach decided, I was like, I need to get some more tissue on me. I just need to eat in a surplus, really recover. And that's what I basically did for the final block. I added like 2 kilos of body weight, or no, not 2. It was like 1.5 kilos. And I just not turbo bulk, but I was pounding the calories in, and it clearly helped out. My recovery was top notch. It felt like, and I did that all until meet day because I knew I can easily make a 2 kilo cut to 83 one more time, or not one more time, but at least for that scenario, because I was making 4 to 4.5 kilo acute cuts down to 75. So if I can go from 79.2, 79.3 all the way to 75, there's no doubt in my mind I can go from 85 to 83. And I didn't deploy all my strategies as I was 75. Like I used to take laxatives, like not the best, but like it was one of those like the natural ones, like the senna leaf. It's a natural like stimulant laxative. So it's not like an osmotic where it pulls water into your colon and stuff. No, it's not like that. But I didn't use that. I just a tiny gut cut, nothing too crazy. I just removed fruits and vegetables, but I was still able to eat like actual beef and rice. I went to Chipotle, for example. I did that for 3 days straight because I didn't have food with me. I had to go eat out. So I had Chipotle. I just removed the beans. I just put the cheese in there, double steak, the rice, like I said. And that was like my go-to meal of the day for each and every day. And the other calories were like milk, rice cakes, just more calorically dense stuff to fill in the rest. And I was still eating in a surplus. So I was above 3,000 calories throughout this entire like 3 days out mark. And on the day itself, I woke up at like 84.7. So I was like 1.7 keys over. I had like 6 hours to lose it. So all I did was I saunted for 20 minutes, I believe, 20, maybe 21 minutes. Like it was an odd number. And I did that. I dropped probably like 0.3, 0.4 kilos. I was spinning the entire duration of the time. And obviously I used the bathroom naturally. So I basically got down from 84.7 all the way to 83 seamlessly as I was spinning the entire time. And I mean, I wasn't spinning for the whole 6 hours. I was trying to save the spit for the final stretch. And to do so, my coach and I had to plan out the amount of spit we can do like per 20 minutes. So like we'd do like a 20-minute interval. We would measure the spit and be like, okay, we got down, I don't know, 100 grams, for example. I don't know the exact number, but let's say we did 100 grams in 20 minutes. We'd multiply that by 3 for the hour and then see how many hours we had left to spit the 20 or spit the rest of the kilos out, right? But obviously you take into account that the spit will slow down as time progresses. So we have to use that as well into the formula. I give myself like another hour leeway just for that. And then, just timing it, very meticulously down from 5 hours out all the way in time. And yeah, like I was spitting literally until they told me to step on the scale. So I had the cup in hand, and I don't know how I made it because 20 minutes prior to weigh-in, I was like, not half a kilo, I was like 1 kilo over. So I was like, oh, can I spit 0.1 kilos within 20 minutes? And I think the scale was a little different. It was a little heavier. So I got on the regular scale, the normal scale, and I made it by I think 0.1 kilo margin. So I was fine there. But yeah, just measuring everything out in intervals, planning ahead, and then just being meticulous with all the tracking. That's basically what I did.
I love that you timed how long it took you to spit and you measured it all. Like, that's so funny. I mean, it's good to know. Do you think, just with how you are as a person, and obviously your coach is like incredibly clever as well and like data driven, you've said before, do you think by just measuring those extra little details, it keeps you calmer because you know exactly what you can do? Or do you think it's just who you are? Like, you just find it interesting more than anything?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. Like it helps ease the mind to be able to have predictability within a certain time frame. Like that comes down even with training. Like I want to know how I'm going to feel next week. Same thing with cutting weight. I want to know how I'm going to feel and how much I'm going to weigh on a certain timing. So it's all about being predictable, and that's my motto within programming or basically anything powerlifting related. I do that with my own athletes as well. So everything's all like meticulous and time oriented.
Actually, while you mentioned the predictability thing, something I've heard you say before is like, because you are obviously like, you're a coach, so you monitor your own schedule, you work around your training, like everything kind of fits into powerlifting and helping you be the athlete you need to be. And I've heard you say before, like, you're so on top of your variables that if something isn't working, you almost know it's the program because everything else is so like regimented and you just take care of everything else. Like, do you feel like that's really how it is? Like, you have everything in place, obviously within your life, to just be able to be like, okay, well, something's feeling off, it's probably the program. Like, we're 99% sure it's the program.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, sometimes like on a week 1 or 2, I might, slack off here or there. Like I might get 7 hours or something. So I know I'm going to feel a little shittier. But my week 3s and 4s are like so locked in that if any hiccup occurs, I know it's almost certainly the program. So yeah, like I like to keep everything consistent, and consistency at the end of the day is what drives progression. So without consistency, you can't be a good lifter, and you definitely cannot be a good coach. So that's my motto especially with all my athletes. I literally say it, like, if everything down from the step count to the quality of the food, not even the macros, but the actual food source itself, to the times you're going to sleep. So it's not about just getting your 8 hours, but the consistent time frames in which you're waking and sleeping. So yeah, consistency is king within powerlifting, I believe.
Yeah, no, I find that really interesting. And I like hearing, like, I had Alba on before, and Alba was saying, because she's someone else that's talked very openly about the fact that she's just very regimented with things, like, especially, let's say, like the final 8 weeks or so into comp. And one thing, like she said she does is she'll just lay her outfits and everything out the night before, so that in the morning, that's one less thing on her mind, one less thing she has to think about. And she's the same in that she's a coach, so she has her schedule and she can move her days around for when she feels like she needs to train and stuff like that. And I think it's really interesting hearing you guys all talk about what you do, like to the tiny details, to just set yourself up to be able to determine how your training is going to go. Like, obviously not everyone has that. Like, I think Duran's is a good example as an 83. Like, he's got a family, he's got kids, he's got a full-time job. Like, it's going to be very different. But for now, the sport is growing and we get more people in that you're obviously not a full-time athlete, but your career is powerlifting, you're self-employed, you have the flexibility. It's really interesting to hear how you set yourself up for your training to go as well as possible.
Yeah, even like my breakfast for the pre-SBDs, I have like not a special breakfast. Like I just eat the same thing every week. So my go-to would be like a Kodiak. I'm not sure if you know what Kodiak is, like the protein stuff.
Yeah.
Like a protein waffle with like a banana, Fairlife milk, and then I'll drink a Gatorade on the way to the gym. That is my go-to like ritual every single SBD from week 1 to 4. Because it's carb heavy, low fat, high protein. Because I'm not avoiding protein just because it's an SBD day. Like, I still got to get that in. But yeah, I make sure like every little detail is just locked in.
Yeah, I think as well, when you mentioned that, like, obviously some people seem to think that you need just carbs for your training. But if it's an SPD day and it's a longer session, having that protein in your breakfast, as long as you have enough time to actually digest it, it really helps you not get to the point where you have a crash in your training as well. Like, you don't want just carb. Obviously, you can refill on your carbs as your session goes, but having something else with your breakfast to just make it that little bit more filling will probably help you have a much better session.
Yeah, I mean that, and then like I'm not sure to like have it be like 5 p.m. and I need 200 grams of protein to eat. Like it's not going to be possible. So my breakfasts are usually like the 60 to 70 gram mark, and then I know I'm set. Like even if I come home and it's 5 p.m., I can still scarf down 130 grams without an issue. Yeah. But I'm not trying to leave myself all the way until the nighttime, and I have to go to sleep like 2 a.m. just to finish the calories. I'm not doing that. So
yeah, no, that wouldn't be fun. Right, we'll kind of take a turn back to nationals. So obviously 900 was the talk going in, and you'd hit 900 in training and everyone was like, is he going to hit it on the platform? Is he not? Like, it was such a big battle anyway. you were looking at nominations, just looking at training and everything from what people were posting. You were pretty, I don't want to say comfortably ahead. Like, had you missed an attempt, it probably would have backfired and it'd have been much closer. But as long as you came in healthy, confident, and just felt somewhat decent, you were pretty comfortably kind of nominated first. I'm assuming the plan was always going to be just pace for 900. And that should be enough to keep you ahead. But obviously we didn't know, like Taylor didn't really show his training. And I think, I don't know if you've said, but I'm sure other people have said, he was the one that people expected to give you the most of a challenge. And he definitely did. But how did you feel going into the meet? Like, was the plan always going to be 900 and that should be enough?
Yeah, the plan was 900 when I failed the 900 the first time in the gym. So I attempted like 905 or something. I ended up with like 885 in the SBD session. And ever since that day, I was like, all right, 900 on meet day. Like if I'm 5 or 6 blocks out and I'm already at 885, I'm adding 15 keys. Like that's my mentality. I'm going to do it. Like I've already progressed this much and I have more body weight to gain. I have more time. Like why not? And then I did the 900 in the gym after that session as well. Like 3 blocks later, I was like, okay, well, I just did 900 now. And I did back downs on top of it. There's no way I'm not totaling 9 in meet, because like my SBD days they're lined up to the meet day itself. So it's basically just another training session with judges there. But I already lifted comp standards, so that's not gonna be the issue. All I gotta do is travel, cut a little bit of weight, and not have any back downs. Like not having back downs is the biggest lifesaver going into a meet day for me, in my opinion. Like or on the meet day itself, because like I pulled 380 keys after my big bench, my big squat, and I had 9 back downs, all above RP9. Like that was I was cooked for like 3 blocks after the 900 kilo day, because the back down itself just obliterated my body. But I was still able to like progress somewhat through rep work and stuff. But by the time I was on my last 2 blocks, I felt real strong, real good, and clearly on meet day it showed up like amazing. So I think confidence is an all-time high, since the training like indicated that I would be this strong on a certain date. So
I actually had this conversation, I think it was on the last episode with Diana that I haven't actually released yet, but we were talking about SBD days because she doesn't really do them. But I was saying, like, a lot of people think they need to have SBD days in their program for them to be able to make it through a comp. But like you kind of hit that there, like SBD days are harder than comp day in theory. Like if it's an end of block heavy SBD, because you have all that extra fatigue by the time even when you get to bench, because you've done all those squat back downs, like that takes a lot of energy. Then you've done your bench back downs as well, and then you're deadlifting. Like that's such a long day. There's so much more work. Like on competition day, your opener should be light enough that it's a warm up basically, right? Like it just sets yourself up. And even if you do kind of close to max out your squat and your bench, you're not doing any back downs. The actual overall workload on a competition day is so much less that kind of what you said there, you probably felt a lot fresher after that comp day, apart from maybe like the adrenaline of the day kind of taking an impact than you did after that training session.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, clearly I was able to bounce back right after comp and total the 870 for reps, whatever, because not having back down, I swear to you, like that is the biggest game change. I thought it was gonna be trashed, but within 3 days, I was like, okay, I'm fine. Like it felt, the fatigue after the 900 was less than like a week 3 SBD fatigue, in my opinion. So I felt like I had a comment on my on the post. It was like, it's inhumane to like be able to rebound after 900 kilos and then PR right after the block out. Like, not really. When you look at my training, and I do these heavier or more impressive week 4s with back down work, and I still rebound the block after and continue to PR in some sort or some manner. So the 900 in the meet was by far the easiest week 4 I've ever done. Like it was besides like the actual external pressure and the intensity and all that, but like the actual lifting itself was by far the easiest my body had to go through in a week 4. And like I said, it showed on my 4 weeks after SBD where I did the 870, hit PRs again. But yeah, I don't recommend people do primary SBD work. I don't have any athlete doing primary SBD. Actually, wait, I have 1 athlete doing a primary SBD out of my 30 plus. So it's very rare and far between. And I'm not saying you can't do SBDs. Like you can still do an SBD. Like you can have a primary deadlift and like secondary squat and bench, right? Or 2 primaries, 1 secondary. But a true primary bench, squat, deadlift all in one day it's probably too fatiguing for 90+% of power lifters, I'd say. So it's worth trying out, especially if you're if you have like the issues with replicating gym performance on meet day itself. because maybe you're testing all these little variables out, but the only thing changing is probably the mentality going into meet day. You're unsure if you can hit a big pull after a big squat and bench. Like, if anything, it's more mental, not physiological. So in those cases, maybe a primary SPD is more beneficial. But like I said, the vast majority of people they cannot handle such workloads all in one day.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I think a lot of people as well, like for myself, I struggle with my deadlift. So I actually had like a deadlift only day for a while. I do like light Larsen press into deadlifts. And for a while that was great because it kind of got me that confidence back. But then I was like, I actually think I feel better doing squats, bench, and then my deadlifts because I'm way more warmed up, because I'm also lazy with warming up. And so I brought my deadlifts back in, but I'm like, I'm only going to do them after lighter squats and bench, because again, like, especially if it's a lift you struggle with, the mental tax when you get to that final lift of the day, even if you enjoy deadlifts, like if you've done your primary squats and primary bench and you're then going to do primary deadlifts, mentally that's a lot to do in one day as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's always ways to work around it. Like you can pull back the back downs of those primary days and then just allocate that volume or intensity to the secondaries. But it's whatever like you and your coach find that works best for you. You have to take into account mental arousal, mental fatigue, physical fatigue, obviously, that's granted. And then how well leveraged you are for a certain lift as well. Like some people just can't take pulling after a huge squat. So it's very independent based, I'd say. Yeah,
absolutely. I also like that we're kind of going backwards and forwards between athlete chat, coaching chat, because I was going to also ask, because I saw you, I saw you post a link. Was it your website you updated the other day? And I was going to basically just say to you, like at some point during the episode, just shout that out as well. So we'll plug it in the middle. We'll plug it in the middle and everyone has to hear it.
Yeah, it's p4pcoach.com, nice and easy. I actually have an athlete now that made it for me. So he's amazing. Like he's a computer science major, so he knew how to code the whole thing. Like it was, I don't ask me how he did it. I have no idea. I just gave him the graphics and all the information. He did it for me. But yeah, I just updated it. It's a lot more professional, because before I was using like Wix, and there's like a little Wix ad at the top, and it was like a Wix domain. It was ghetto, bro. Like it was not good. So the one I have now is way more clean. It looks nice, looks professional. You can book, schedule calls through there, like consultation calls even. I actually just had one, I think 3 days ago. It was a consultation call, not even my athlete. It was some, not random, but like some guy that I knew on Instagram. He wanted me to review his programming, give him form critiques. So he scheduled a call with me. We booked it. We went through it. It was nice and easy. And then I obviously have regular athlete calls as well that I have with my own guys. And then obviously the athlete coaching form is on there as well. And with all the information, I don't know. I think it looks amazing. I could be biased though. I could be biased.
No, that's really good. It's cool that your athlete did it for you as well. But you did a pod. As you can tell, I just ingest powerlifting content like all the time. I listened to your podcast that you did with Joey and Big Body the other day as well. Like I think it was really cool just hearing you guys go backwards and forwards on different topics too. Like, and just hearing you do more of the coaching side as well, because I think people obviously see you as this really great athlete, and then like when I hear you talk about your training and stuff, like even though you don't coach yourself, like you're so data focused, and it's nice to hear a coach that's so invested in the data side rather than just kind of the generic side that a lot of other coaches I think look at. And I think it's just good that you're putting more of that content out there too, so people can see that side.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to make more content. My wife just took over the powerlifting page for me, because she's a social media manager. That's like her career, right? Yeah. So she's like, let me just take over your coaching page, and I'll repost your athletes. I'll make you coaching content. Just make sure that you record it and give me the information, and then she'll make it look pretty and stuff. Because like I'm okay with making the content itself. It's just like I'm not the most technological literal person, I guess. Like I'm not the best with computers, so I know it's weird to say I'm like 22 and I feel like I'm like an unk or something. I don't know how to work them, but yeah, like so she'll take it over, and I'm gonna start releasing more coaching content. I already have some ideas in the back of my brain that we're gonna start releasing real soon. So
no, I think that's really cool. You're set there. Client making your website, wife doing all your social media for you. What more do you need?
I got the super team around me. I know.
That's brilliant. I'm just gonna rewind back to Nationals performance. I love the way I said I want to try and do this one in order. Never happens. Anyway, your deadlifts. So am I right in thinking you essentially took your opener in the warm-up room? Obviously your actual opener at 355 still moved incredibly well. Like I'm sure it's a number that is very routine for you at this point. But am I right in thinking it was take your opener in the warm-up room because by that point you knew what you needed for 900 and just pace yourself for that 900 on your second just to secure that?
Yeah. So I took the original opener was 330. I put that as like a pseudo opener basically. And I took that in the warm-up room. Yeah. And then I just pulled a 355 on the second to ensure that I don't have to chip a third deadlift and go like 892 or 893. Because I knew Atwood was good for like 885 to 890. But I knew I was good for 900 plus. So I was like, I could win. I can solidify a win on a third pull, but then it takes out all the lore of the 900 that I was talking about. So I was like, I really want my cake and I want to eat it too. So I was like, just do it on the second, right? Like, what's the worst that could happen? So I loaded on the second, the 900, and the rest is history. I liked it. So
how did you obviously feel doing that again? Like, you've hit these numbers in training. You're not, you lift to standard in training. And I'm pretty sure when you hit 900 in training before, am I right in thinking you actually failed your deadlift and then went down and hit something else?
that was the 885 day. So I tried 385 kilos on the deadlift to solidify the 900. Failed 385. I dropped to 375, I believe.
Yeah.
I hit that, and that was the week that was supposed to deload because I did the week 4 prior, and then I basically was like, you know what, I'm just gonna try to do 900 today. I don't know, it was weird, and so I failed 385 and I went down and I executed I think it was 375. It could be 370 though, I'm not sure.
So how did you have the confidence to trust to just pull for 900 on your second? Like, was it just if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, like, let's just go out and try? Or were you 100% sure, like, you've got this?
Oh no, I was 100%. Like, because I pulled 380 already on the 900 day after all those back downs, and I knew I got stronger. So there's zero doubt in my mind I can at least pull 377. And I know it looked a little slow. I still think I had 5 kilos on it, and that's more than, like, I'm confident enough to know that, like, if I have a certain number and I have to take 2, 3, 4 kilos under that number, I'm like, okay, well, there's no way I don't have any balance issue, grip issue. Like, the way I pull on my sumo, like I said in the podcast with Joe or Joey, like, it's very, like, strength determined. Like, it's almost like a conventional, like, kind of like, I don't grip and rip, but I have like a fast hip shoot and wedge, and I'm not the most technically sound. I don't have the best deadlift leverage. So I'm over here like Enaharo or Ade that, like, when they pull, like, they lock out their knees. But any single, like, deviation within, like, center of mass, if that happens, they're kind of cooked. Versus myself, I can, like, just muscle it up or something. So in my case, like, I was very confident in the way I executed deadlift, but also the weight I loaded as well, because I've done more in the past under far worse circumstances. So
yeah, definitely. So you mentioned you maybe had a few more kilos left in the deadlift, which, watching it, like, as a fan, like, I kind of agree that, like, it wasn't a completely max effort deadlift. Like, we've seen you grind out deadlifts, like you said, you are very, like, it's uncommon for sumo for someone to be able to just almost, like, grind through it the way you can, but obviously it works for you. Do you think you had many kilos left across the board, or do you think maybe like 905-ish would have been your max end on the day?
I think I had 220 on bench. I would like to say 5 on squat. Okay, for sure 2.5 on squat. Okay, let's say 2.5 on bench, 2.5 squat. That's already 5, and then 5 on dead. So 9, 10. That's 9, 10 right there. Yeah. So I think 9, 10 all out. Something I would have felt comfortable loading if I needed to, absolutely. But obviously 900 was a lot safer. So
yeah, and I think 900 made the statement that you were after. So that's probably the right choice and not worth the risk of missing. So you've gone straight back to training. We've kind of already said you hit 870 for reps, wasn't it? So, and that was what, 4 weeks after? And then, am I right? Did you have 2 4-week blocks? Was it an 8-week turnaround to Worlds roughly?
It was like 9 weeks and some change. So
yeah. So obviously you're training, you've kind of come straight back in, and it's just going really well straight away. And do you always go heavy on your week 4s? Like, is it pretty much every week 4 you'll either push your, I think you kind of mentioned the last podcast, either you'll push your back downs and maybe hit your top sets a little bit heavier, or you'll push your top sets. Is that an every single week 4, or do you occasionally have those lighter blocks?
No, I don't. I've never had a light block. I'm always pushing that. There has to be some sort of, like, mental arousal in my training for me to, like, actually lock in the externals. Like, if I know I have, like, let's say, for example, I have a 200 bench single, right, for my week 4. I'm not going to be too, like, dedicated if I was like, oh, only 200. Like, I can do like 20 keys more than this. Why am I going to get, like, hyped up for this, you know? So I always it seems to work for me. Like I don't have obviously not all my athletes train this way, but myself I do. I've done this for the last like 4 years, like just pushing that week 4 block after block after block, and I just continue to hit some sort of either volume PR, rep PR, or 1RM. So I'm always hitting some sort of momentum boosting set to carry me to the following block.
And how do you like adjust? Like, are your week ones super light to make up for that, or do you just kind of naturally recover pretty well anyway? So you just kind of keep building as the world goes, like, or do you take a significantly lighter week one than maybe what other people would?
Yeah, I think my week ones are like extremely light. So, for example, tomorrow I have a deadlift single. I'm doing 275. So, it's so. And then for squat, like I just backtrack from what I want in meet. So. Meet day is just like my week 4. Well, in this case, I have 5 weeks, and I actually do enjoy having a 5th week leading up until meet day, having that week 1 be like almost like a week 0, like a true deload. So that's why I'm taking 275, and then I'll just take 25 kilo jumps all the way until meet day and project around like 385, for example, right? And then for squat, I'll just do 20s all the way down, maybe like a 15 on the till meet. And then for bench press, just 10s all the way down. So I backtrack from the week 4 goal, and I pretty much hit that goal almost every single time. So that's my methodology behind that.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's slowly becoming a more common way to. That's the way I do it as well. Like with my own training and most of my clients, like just what do you want that's realistic on that final week? Work yourself backwards, because then you're starting heavy enough to have like the stimulus that you need and get the correct momentum into that final week.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of times you may like just pace or start too heavy. Like it says RP6 that week 1, right? But in actuality, like for me, for example, 275 ain't RP6. It's like, it's not an RP scale. I can't give you a number on that one. I can do that for over 10 reps. So, like having just the RP cap there is kind of it's not too accurate. I like to just paste the numbers and have the RP there as like a guideline almost, just to show that you are progressing from week to week.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. So you're less than 5 weeks out now, if my maths is correct. How are you feeling for your first Worlds?
Pretty excited. Not too nervous. I was probably far more nervous for nationals. That's the stepping stone, and with all the, like I said, allure around 900. After crushing that and taking home gold and qualifying my spot for Worlds, that kind of broke down a lot of the nerves I had going into it. So now I'm more like peace at mind, more easygoing now, and I'm confident. I'm not saying I wasn't confident in the training beforehand, the program beforehand, but now I'm like uber confident that what I'm doing is working, and I just competed. So if I just follow this pathway one more time, slight tweaks here and there, I'm almost certain I'm gonna show up on meet day just that strong, if not stronger, because I did learn a lot in that last prep. I know where I could have improved on these little things. So now I have all that good data, and then all the stuff that I didn't do right, I can now do right again. So, and obviously I'm getting stronger just through the added body weight, because I am bulking further into Worlds. I have the room. So I'm even more confident going into Worlds than I was nationals. And I already prepped all the travel stuff. Like I'm going a week in advance. Like I'm gonna be there. I'm doing my entire taper week in Germany just so I could acclimate to all the variables. And I even have an athlete that lives in Belgium, and he's coming to pick me up from Frankfurt and driving me to Chemnitz. So I'll have a car. He rented an Airbnb, so we're gonna meal prep over there. We have everything crossed and dialed in. So this is why I'm so confident going into Worlds, and even more confident than I was in nationals. So
you really do have the dream team around you right now.
Yeah, I do. It's amazing.
Do you anticipate that you're going to have to go over 900, or you're going to go 900 plus at Worlds? Or do you think because it's going to be such a close battle, it won't be needed? I'm assuming, I think you or Ade will pull last. Well, actually Enna, but.
Yeah, well, no, he just pulled like 357 for 3 fairly easy. It was easier than my 360 for 2. So I'm almost confident that he's going to, pull after me. And that's okay with me. Like, I'm all right with it. I'm just gonna go pull 9 or go 9 for 9. I'm gonna push over the 900 again because I have to. Like I'm not like I already have Addie's numbers projected in my head, like 320, 200, and like I think he's good for 390 on pull. That's already 910. So I'm like, okay, Not saying I'm going to go 9-10, but if I total over 9 again and he pulls some historic number after me, so be it. Like, I don't have the final say. It is what it is. But as long as I go 9 for 9, PR the total once more,
yeah,
that's all I pretty much can do. Because it's crazy to say that I have a 380 deadlift and I'm not pulling last. Like, they're freaks over there. I don't know.
It's going to be so good to watch. I was just looking at nominations as well. I just went on my phone to have a look because I was like, well, we still haven't seen what Tim can do either. So Tim's currently ranked 5th. It's his first, apart from the nationals he did, what was it, just before the end of last year? It was quite a while ago. No, it was longer than that, wasn't it? Tim hit 845.5 as his first meet back as a light 83 as well. So he's very much an unknown, and he's also a big puller, or at least he was before. Obviously, we don't know how the weight gain will have affected his leverages and stuff. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here and like who does pull last. How, like, are you, I mean, obviously you're going to back yourself to win, but what do you think the podium's going to end up looking like? Do you think, I know I've heard you say Ade's name, obviously, when you've been chatting to other people about what you think is going to happen and stuff. And I do think like he's due a 9 for 9 meet. And I think it's going to be crazy to see where his top end is if he can like pull that together. But obviously like Duran's isn't really showing much training. Like, who do you think are your biggest threats for that first place?
The main threat is obviously Ade. Duran's, I'd give him the 3rd highest top end, but I don't know. Enahara looks pretty strong right now. So he has the deadlift. Not saying he can over, I don't think he's going to outpull, or he's going to outpull me and Ade for sure, like in terms of sheer load, but he's not going to pull over us in the rankings, I believe.
Yeah.
I still think he can take a shot at Duran's and overlap him. But in terms of top end strength, I think it's clear cut me and Ade, and then Duran's a little below that, and then we have Tim and Enna in a ranking below that as well. So
yeah, I think it's gonna be really cool. It's really cool as well that pretty much the top 8 are all in the 800 totals, which I had a conversation with Calais the other day, and it's a couple of years ago that would have been podium. Just over 800 would have been podium. To now have prime time as 800 plus is crazy. And you have now hit the 900 mark as well. The rate the 83s are going is insane.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. I mean, just look at USA, or not USAPL, but PA Nash. Like, we had, I think, 10 people north of 800. So
yeah.
Globally speaking, like the amount of total 83s above that 800 mark already is, I think it's countless. There's at least 25, 30 people already on the planet. So it's, the class is blowing up, talent pool keeps increasing. And I think this is like only the beginning in terms of like seeing these historic numbers being put up and not even getting top 3, right? Like you can potentially total 850 at this meet, which is over the world record from last year, and not even podium. So that it's crazy to be an 83 at the moment.
Yeah. I'm very excited to see what happens, of course. I was going to ask you, but I think I know the answer from the fact you've said you never do light blocks. After Worlds, do you think you're going to give yourself a little bit of like a down period of maybe a little bit lighter training? Just, you've been pushing for a while now. You've been in back-to-back PBs for as long as I can remember. Do you expect to have a little bit of downtime? Like, are you staying out there just to have a little bit of a holiday after? Or is it going to be straight back to it, pushing straight away?
Oh, no, I'm taking like a week and a half off because I do have my honeymoon right after Worlds. So I'm going from Germany and I'm flying to Portugal, and we're having our honeymoon. And I'm not gonna really be powerlifting over there. I'm probably gonna like bench, maybe squat once and deadlift once, but just to stay primed and keep the motor patterns, nice and greased. But I will not be pushing for that. I think that first block, I might actually cut back down a little bit as well. So I want to keep force feeding my body right now. I want to lose a little bit of fluff. It's summertime, maybe get down to like 82, 83. And then I'll bulk my way back up into hopefully Sheffield if all things go right. But yeah, that's the plan. Just take one block to chill, have my honeymoon, cut a little bit, and then start back the grind all the way until Sheffield. So
yeah, I think that sounds like a good plan. I think it will be really interesting. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we have another Sheffield with a massive stacked load of 83s. Obviously, it depends what the other classes do and who hits the qualifying procedure and stuff. But I wouldn't be surprised if even if you didn't win, we end up seeing at least 2 or 3 83s on that platform again. Because I think you're all going to be. What's the world record at the moment? Is it 877?
871.
871. Yeah. So I would be shocked if at least 2 of you aren't over the world record total at Worlds.
Yeah, and then we have Taylor doing the NAPFs, I believe, and then Russ doing World Games. So potentially we're gonna have like 6 people over the world record.
Yeah, maybe we need a Sheffield for the 83s alone.
Yeah, that would be insane.
Brilliant. That was kind of everything I wanted to cover. I don't know if you've got anything else you want to shout out or anything like that. Obviously, we've shouted out your coaching, but if anyone is interested, you say go through your website, they can book in a call with you.
Yeah, or my Instagram page or my coaching page. They're all they all have my coaching website linked into it. Instagram is joe.borenstein, pretty easy, and then a coaching page is p4p.coach. So yeah, that's where you can find me. You can DM my coaching page. I actually do recommend that for the easiest access and quickest response times. DM the coaching page. Do not DM the personal about coaching, please. Like I have hundreds of DMs I still haven't opened, so just please do not DM them personal for coaching inquiries. You're not going to get a response. I'm almost certain of that. So yeah, just go to the coaching page or p4p.com or p4pcoach.com and just fill out the form if you can.
Yeah, I can't lie. When I first ever reached out for you to come on the podcast before, I was not expecting a reply. I was shocked I got one.
I'm sorry.
You replied pretty quickly, I think. I was impressed. I was also very surprised.
I got you. I look at the profile pictures and I'm like, well, that looks good enough. I'll click on you and see. No, because a lot of times they go through my hidden requests, which is very odd. Yeah. And the hidden request is just riddled with bots and people being like, I can give you $10,000 or like paid promos. I'm like, no, what? So if it's in my hidden request, you're definitely not getting a response back. If you're in my regular requests, then I do check those pretty frequently. So yeah, I don't think you were sent to the hidden. Do not worry.
So basically, just make sure you've got a legitimate profile picture. You might get a reply.
Exactly, and that you're not a bot, and then you're mostly getting a reply. Yes.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on again. I really appreciate it, and obviously, best of luck with Worlds. Excited to see what you do, and enjoy your honeymoon.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and thank you for the invite.
Yeah, of course.